Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Swati Kundra. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 29th of February. India unveils Budget 2016-17 with focus on pro-poor policies. Pakistan's religious parties protest over Mumtaz Qadri's execution. And 57 insurgents killed during military operation in Afghanistan. And now for all the details, Indian government is committed to work towards simplifying the process of doing business in India, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said while presenting India's Union Budget 2016-17 in Parliament on Monday. We bring you a detailed report on how different sectors have benefited from the budget.
Union Budget 2016-17 brought relief for rural and farm sectors as well as small and marginal income taxpayers. Union Finance Minister Arun Jaitley reiterated a forecast that India would grow by 7.6% in the fiscal year that is drawing to a close. He also added that he would stick to the government's existing fiscal deficit target for the coming year.
I have weighed the policy option and decided that prudence lies in adhering to fiscal targets. Consequently, the fiscal target in the revised estimate of 2015-16 and the budget estimate of 2016-17 have been retained at 3.9% and 3.5% of GDP respectively. While doing so, I have ensured that development agenda has not been compromised.
Jaitley said that the government aimed to double the farmers' income in the next 5 years. Some of the highlights of Jaitley's budget for the fiscal year are: allocation for agriculture is $5.26 billion. Allocation under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana increased to $2.77 billion. Allocation for rural sector is $12.83 billion. A sum of $5.69 billion allocated for rural jobs program. 100% village electrification by May 1st, 2018. Agricultural credit target of $131.59 billion. Allocation for social sector including education and health care is $22.16 billion. 3,000 stores to be set up for generic drugs. $1.31 billion for Clean India campaign. Jaitley also allocated $8 billion for building roads and highways.
I have speeded up the process of road construction. I have proposed to allocate a sum of rupees 55,000 crores in the budget for roads and highways. This will be further topped up by an additional 15,000 to be raised by the NHAI through bonds. Thus, the total investment in the road sector, including the rural Gram Sadak Yojana allocation, would be rupees 97,000 crores during 2016-17.
The budget also offered SOPs for small and marginal income taxpayers, hiked the surcharge by 3% on earning above $1,46,000, levied a pollution cess on petrol, diesel cars and SUVs, and offered a one-time compliance window for domestic black money holders, slapping a tax and penalty of 45%.
Moving on to news from Pakistan, security has been beefed up in the country as protests broke out against the execution of Mumtaz Qadri, convicted for the murder of former Punjab Governor Salman Taseer on Monday morning. Qadri had assassinated Taseer in 2011 for his vocal opposition to blasphemy laws of the country.
Many religious parties and conservatives took to the streets in various cities of Pakistan to demonstrate against Qadri's execution in Punjab's capital city, Rawalpindi. Section 144 has been imposed in Rawalpindi to counter attempted rallies causing trouble in the city. Protesters tore down hoardings along the Rawalpindi-Islamabad highway and set them on fire on the road to block the traffic. Situation also remains tense in other major cities of the country.
इस वक्त तमाम मुसलमानों के जज्बात को सख्त तरीन ठेस पहुँचाई गई है और हमारे जज्बात मजरूह हुए हैं। इसमें कोई भी मकतबा फ़िक्र जिस मकतबा फ़िक्र से तल्लुक़ रखने वाला हो, जिसने ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह पढ़ा है, गाजी मुमताज़ हुसैन क़ादरी इस्लाम के हीरो हैं। उन्होंने एक गुस्ताख़ रसूल को वास्ले जहन्नम किया है और कुरान और हदीस का फ़ैसला है।
Qadri was executed in Rawalpindi in the wee hours of Monday after his clemency plea was rejected by Pakistan President Mamnoon Hussain. He assassinated former Punjab Governor Salman Taseer in Islamabad on January 4, 2011 for his support to a Christian woman charged with blasphemy.
The United Nations has expressed concern for more than 2.5 million Afghan refugees living in Pakistan. Although Pakistan granted a 6-month extension to the refugees whose registration cards expired recently, they are being harassed by police for carrying expired cards.
Pakistan should resolve the status of more than 2.5 million Afghan refugees living in the country whose registration cards have expired or who remain unregistered, a senior UN official said. The registration cards of the refugees allowing temporary legal stay expired in December, but they were granted a 6-month extension by the government. Despite the extension, the Afghan refugees have been facing harassment by Pakistan police. In Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, at least 600 Afghan nationals have reportedly been arrested by Pakistani police recently on charges of staying illegally in the country with expired registration cards. UNHCR Assistant High Commissioner George Okot Obo said his agency is trying to resolve the population's uncertain situation by holding discussions with the Pakistani government.
Satisfied with many of the outcomes of those discussions that secured continuing asylum and protection in this country for refugees from Afghanistan in a relatively predictable way. I have to mention that one of the continuing discussions and point of interest for us on that issue remains the proof of registration, and alongside of that, how the question of unregistered Afghans is handled.
Afghan refugees in Pakistan have often been subject of suspicion for militant and criminal activities in the country.
In a latest crackdown, Afghanistan forces killed 57 insurgents during counter-terrorism operations in past 24 hours, the Afghan Ministry of Defense said. The operations were conducted in Afghanistan's Faryab and Baghlan provinces, where the militants are actively operating in a number of districts. Various ammunition and explosions have also been confiscated during the operations. This has come as Afghanistan government made it clear that it will hold peace talks only with Taliban factions that denounce violence. Earlier in the day, 120 Taliban militants had surrendered and joined the peace process in Faryab province. Moving on, Afghan soldiers should spend more time on fighting with Taliban in order to impose stability instead of spending time guarding checkpoints, NATO advisors have suggested. The coalition hopes the local forces would be able to quell a rising insurgency by hitting back at them and not by defending their checkposts.
With only a few thousand foreign troops left in the country, the Afghan army should now directly take on the Taliban in order to impose stability, says NATO. Officials for the NATO-led training mission, known as Resolute Support, say Afghan forces have too many soldiers on checkpoints. The coalition wants the Afghan army to reduce reliance on them and engage more of its army men in fighting against the insurgents. In south of Kabul, members of the Afghan National Army's 1st Battalion hold a string of checkpoints to secure the mountain passes between the Afghan capital and Logar province. Of roughly 600 soldiers in the division, more than 500 are based at checkpoints, while a small, more heavily armed mobile reserve force remains at a central base, said Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad Ria Khurram. But many in the Afghan army feel the checkpoints were not necessarily wrong.
پست ثابت ما دو گروه در اوجه است. یکی گروه امنیتی خدماتی در اوجه می باشد، یکی قطعه واکنشی از در اوجه که ما از یک دلگاه خدماتی استفاده میکنیم و امنیتی که پیرو از ما می داشته باشد و دلگاه دیگه از او بلوک است که آماده است به پاسخدهی در ما حول پسته که جایی که اطلاع برش برسه عمل میکند.
But recent examples underline the risk of relying on static defenses. This month, insurgents used captured military vehicles to attack a checkpoint in Helmand, southern Afghanistan, killing 7 soldiers and 15 policemen. Outposts can be a key part of disrupting insurgent movement, NATO military officers say, and they also appear to help give local residents a greater sense of security. But spending too much time guarding the checkposts won't leave the Afghan army with enough battalion to fight off militants.
Indian capital New Delhi became a center of attraction as hundreds of vintage cars rallied on its roads, showcasing India's rich automobile heritage.
They are things of the past, but they continue to enthrall new generations. The 50th Statesman Vintage Car Rally drew hundreds of car enthusiasts in New Delhi, evoking a sense of nostalgia. Relics of the past, like Black Baby Austin of 1918, a 1938 Buick limousine, Cadillacs, Rolls-Royces, Dodges, Jaguars, Chevrolet Impalas and Volkswagen Beetle caught people's eye.
एक सरकारी कंपनी इसके साथ शामिल हुई है और 50वीं है तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। इस तरह की चीज़ों को प्रमोट करना चाहिए। इट्स नॉट ओनली एंटरटेनमेंट लेकिन हिंदुस्तान की हेरिटेज को भी साथ में प्रिजर्व करता है।
The event showcased the passion and care that car owners have for their wheels. The gleaming bodies and their prime condition was a testimony to the saying that old is gold.
Besides mesmerizing the tourists with its breathtaking landscape, Kashmir in northern India is also famous for adventure sports. The valley is providing course and training on skiing these days.
The Indian Institute of Skiing and Mountaineering or IISM hosts a number of budding skiers to explore their potential. Youth from across the country and globe gather at world-famous skiing destination Gulmarg to receive skiing training. The institute every year conducts 15-day skiing courses with all facilities including boarding and lodging at free of cost.
और ये जो बैच है ये 118 बच्चों का है जो हर एक इंडिया के हर एक कोने से स्कीइंग करने के लिए आए। जो ही हमारा इंस्टीट्यूट का ये वेबसाइट खुलती है इतना रश होता है कि लोगों को सीट मिलनी मुश्किल है, तो लाइन में है अभी।
The IISM has the best of the equipment and grooming machines, as a result of which they groom the snow in such a way that despite lesser snowfall, their slope is always active and fit for training.
अभी मैं इस साल मतलब इंटरमीडिएट कर रहा हूँ। लास्ट ईयर मैंने बेसिक्स किए थे, हमारा अभी चल रहा है जो आप देख भी रहे हैं बेसिक स्विंग चल रहा है। तो बहुत ही अच्छा मतलब यहाँ पर कोर्स किया जाता है स्की का। तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि जो यहाँ ना आए वो अच्छी बात है, यहाँ आना परफेक्ट। यहाँ पर बाहर के लोग भी आते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा लोग आते हैं।
Thousands of tourists throng Kashmir every year for its scenic beauty, and the IISM has become an ideal platform to promote adventure tourism in the country.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India unveils budget 2016-17 with focus on pro-poor policies. Pakistan's religious parties protest over Mumtaz Qadri's execution. And 57 insurgents killed during military operation in Afghanistan. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.